So this woman is Kirat Assi. She is smart, successful, and had her life together. A respected radio presenter from London, she knew how to read people, how to trust her instincts. But somehow, over the course of 10 years, she found herself trapped in a relationship that didn't make sense. One that controlled her, drained her, and left her questioning everything she thought she knew. It all started with a simple Facebook message. The guy's name was Bobby Jandu, a cardiologist from Brighton. They had mutual friends, so it wasn't weird when he reached out. At first, their conversations were casual. How's work? How's life? The usual small talk. But then, things got personal. Bobby started opening up, sharing things he couldn't tell anyone else. His job was stressful, his marriage was falling apart, and according to him, Kirat was the only person who truly understood him. "I wish I had met you sooner," he wrote one night. "You're everything I've ever wanted." At first, she didn't think much of it. He was married, after all. But Bobby was persistent. He told her he felt trapped, that his wife didn't love him, that he was only staying for the sake of his family. And as months passed, Kirat started falling for him. It wasn't just the flirting, it was how deeply he seemed to care, how he was always there for her no matter what. And it wasn't just him, his whole family was involved. His sister messaged her. His mom sent her voice notes. His friends backed him up. Every time she had doubts, someone reassured her. "Bobby's serious about you," they'd say. "He just needs time to sort things out." Over the years, their relationship deepened. Bobby told her everything, his childhood, his dreams, his struggles. He made her feel like she was the most important person in his life. But every time they planned to meet, something went wrong. One time, he was supposed to visit her in London, but at the last minute, he canceled. "I collapsed at work," he texted. "Doctors think it might be my heart." Another time, they made plans for a weekend away. He was so excited, counting down the days. Then, the night before, he called her in a panic. "My wife found out. She's threatening to take the kids." Every single time, there was an excuse, a crisis, a tragedy. But Kirat believed him. Because why wouldn't she? She had talked to his family. She had heard his voice, she had seen his pictures. But something wasn't right. The missed meetings, the constant drama, the way he controlled her life, deciding who she could talk to, making her feel guilty for wanting space. Then one day, after nearly a decade of this, Kirat decided to dig a little deeper. And what she found was something she never could have imagined. Hey, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next on Talescape. By this point, Kirat's entire life revolved around Bobby. He was the first person she spoke to in the morning and the last person she messaged before bed. He knew everything about her fears, her insecurities, her biggest dreams. But looking back, she barely knew anything about him. Sure, she knew what he told her, his job, his family, his struggles, but she had never met him, never even seen him on a video call. And anytime she brought it up, there was an excuse. "I hate video calls," he'd say. "I don't look good on camera." It was weird, but not impossible to believe. Then, things started getting worse. Bobby became possessive. If Kirat didn't reply fast enough, he'd get upset. If she posted something on social media without telling him, he'd make her feel guilty. "I just want to be part of your life," he'd say. "It hurts when you shut me out." And whenever she questioned him, he turned it around on her. "You don't trust me after everything we've been through?" But the worst part? He didn't just manipulate her emotions, he started controlling her real life. At one point, he convinced her to break up with someone she was actually dating. "You deserve better," he told her. "He's not right for you." And Kirat listened. Because by now, Bobby wasn't just some guy she was talking to. He was her person, the one she could always rely on. Then, he started making bigger demands. "I need money," he said one day, "just for a little while. My accounts are frozen because of my divorce." Kirat was hesitant, but this was Bobby. He had never asked for money before. He was a doctor. He didn't need to scam her, so she sent it. Then the health scares came. "I collapsed again," he texted her one night. "I don't know what's wrong with me." Days later, another emergency. "I need surgery." Then something even bigger. "I might have cancer." And Kirat? She was devastated. She felt helpless. This was someone she loved. She wanted to fly out to see him, to take care of him, but Bobby wouldn't let her. "Not yet," he said. I don't want you to see me like this. At this point, anyone else would have walked away, but Kirat, she had invested years into this relationship. She had given up other relationships for him. She had built her entire life around Bobby. Walking away now? It didn't feel like an option. Then, something happened that finally made her question everything. She was at a family wedding when one of her relatives mentioned Bobby's name, but instead of saying, "Oh yeah, Bobby, the doctor," they looked confused. "Bobby?" they said. "Who's that?" That's when the sick feeling hit her. Something was off. So she started digging. She checked his Facebook, looked through old messages. Then she searched for his family members, the ones who had been messaging her for years. And that's when she noticed something she should have seen a long time ago. The profiles? The ones that belonged to Bobby's mom, his sister, his friends, they had all been created around the same time. The names were real, but the accounts were fake. And suddenly, it all clicked. This wasn't just Bobby. This was someone else entirely. Someone who had been controlling her life for years. And when she finally uncovered the truth, it shattered everything. Kirat sat there, staring at her screen, her heart pounding. The fake profiles, the weird timing of messages, the way every single one of Bobby's so-called family members had only ever interacted with her. It was all too perfect, too controlled, too deliberate. And suddenly, it hit her. This wasn't just a guy lying about his life. This was someone running an entire operation just to manipulate her. And then came the question that made her stomach drop. Who the hell was behind it? She started thinking back, going over every conversation, every name, every connection. And then one name stood out. A name that shouldn't have any connection to Bobby at all. Simran Bhogal, her own cousin. At first, Kirat didn't want to believe it. There was no way. Simran was family. They weren't even that close. Why would she do this? It didn't make sense. But the more she dug, the worse it got. She went back through old messages, comparing writing styles. They matched. She looked at phone numbers, email addresses linked to the fake profiles, all tied back to Simran. And then, the final nail in the coffin. A friend of Kirat's, a real one, reached out to Simran, casually, no suspicion, just to ask if she had ever spoken to Bobby. And the response? Immediate panic. Simran started freaking out, backtracking, scrambling for an excuse. And that's when Kirat knew. For 10 years, the person she had trusted more than anyone, the man she had built her entire life around, was just a voice on the other end of a phone. A script, written by her own cousin. And the worst part? Simran never had a reason. She didn't steal money. She didn't blackmail Kirat. She didn't even get anything out of it. She had no real motive beyond the fact that, what? She just wanted to control her? To see how far she could take it? For a while, Kirat just shut down. The betrayal was too much. She had lost years of her life to a person who didn't even exist. She had ended relationships, lost friends, put her entire future on hold for someone who was nothing but a lie. And when she finally confronted Simran, she admitted to everything. No emotion, no real remorse, just a casual, "Yeah, I did it." And Kirat? She took the case to the police. But here's the thing, catfishing isn't illegal in the UK. Simran hadn't technically committed a crime. She hadn't stolen money, she hadn't physically hurt Kirat. She had just systematically destroyed her life for a decade, and apparently that wasn't enough to warrant a single charge. The police did nothing. In the end, Kirat had to take legal action herself. She filed a civil case, forced Simran into a settlement, and while she got some financial compensation and a formal apology, it didn't change the fact that she had been robbed of 10 years of her life. And Simran? She just moved on, like nothing ever happened. And that might be the scariest part of all. Thanks for tuning into Talescape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories where ambition meets chaos, and sometimes history.